Love, light, peace, and abundance, y'all. We're back for another episode of Pulse. I always do that. Poetry Unraveled. And I'm excited. I have something in store for you today. However, before I go there, do a little bit of housekeeping. We are on April 8th. Well, the week of April 8th. And if you haven't already, reach out to Post Poetry on all social media platforms and check out the latest episode. We are very excited. The magazine itself just had its first open mic. Go to our social media platforms to check out all of the footage of the performances that took place, and leave some feedback, as well as tap into the magazine for the latest episode and let the poets know what you think about their art that they're sharing with you from their heart. Okay. Now, today we're going to do something a little different here at Poetry Unraveled, and I'm really excited. We were blessed and fortunate to be presented with an opportunity to have our very first guest this evening. And I'm excited to see what it will unfold with this transmission. I opened the space, I cleared it out. So we shall see what comes through. And without any further ado, I will bring our guest on for this evening.
Hey, how you doing?
Welcome. Our guest this evening is the king himself, Anthony Aceyon Owens. And it is an honor to have you here with us. So if you would introduce yourself to our listeners today.
Hello, my name is Anthony Aceyon Owens. I am a visionary. Reason why I go by that, because I'm involved in many things. I'm an actor, a director, a poet, a coach. I am also a plus size male model, and just overall a child of God. So I'm a visionary of what I see in my life and what I want to do, and I push for it. And I don't want to just be categorized in one thing. So I'm based in Rochester, New York, born and raised. Yeah, I'm proud to be proud Black man, loving my life, loving my family, pushing for the best of me, and yeah, that's it.
Beautiful, beautiful. So it sounds like you are a multifaceted creative. Is
Most
that
definitely,
okay?
most definitely.
So what is the motivation behind your creative inspirations?
Life for me is life.
Mm,
I get inspired by the simplest things.
mm,
Sometimes, and it's weird where it would decipher too, because sometimes I get inspired. For example, I show you right now some artwork I get inspired to do. Um, Excuse the mess, but I was bored one day. I decided to make
mm,
this, and it was
mm,
just a piece that I constructed with some paint because I was just sitting around the house, wasn't doing nothing. I said, you know what? That's saying something to me. Or I
mm,
get inspired to write. Or if I'm, for example, when I was at your open mic with Ashanti,
mhm,
sitting there watching all those different poets, even though I've gone to open mic after open mic and I've always been inspired, it's something that each
mm,
voice brings to you, you know. And with
mm.
it being a new
True.
batch of people from out of town, I was inspired to put the pen to paper and write something. You know,
Nice.
it's all life is just what really inspires me. You know, that's why every time I wake up, I say I'm blessed to see another one because I'm blessed to allow my inspiration to go further. You know,
Yes, yes. So you also mentioned being a child of God. So how or do you connect or have a relationship between your creative expression and your relationship with the Most High?
yes, I feel like in some cases, God puts us in the situations, right? Like I'm not, I ain't got the perfect attendance in church. You know what I mean? I ain't got perfect attendance, but I have a perfect connection with my creator. So, because we all perceive what God is in different ways. And I believe my creator is hilarious to begin with because he wouldn't have put us in a situation he put us in without having a sense of humor. I believe he's artistic to no end because you see all the different creations in the world and in the universe. And I also feel like he allows me to. Can I curse?
Of course, you can be free.
He allows me to fuck up and then get back to the drawing board and redo it again. Like, all right, you messed up that time. Go back and
Mm-hmm.
try it again. See where you messed up
Mm-hmm.
at now. He allows me to steady grow. So, yeah, my spirituality is strongly influenced with my creation because if
Okay.
it wasn't there, it wouldn't be me.
Do you have any vision or foresight of messages or the divinity within your artwork?
Um, Sometimes I would see, like for example, when I'm writing, I would see it ahead of time like in a
Mm,
story in a film. I would see what's being, and it would push me to write it. God would allow me to see everything that's played out, and I would just
mm,
try and not catch up to what the images he's sending me. On other times, if it's really something deep within my heart, I would feel it. I would have to go through that pain
mm,
and that struggle and then write about it, i.e.,
mm.
my divorce, my loss of family, just overall, and it's not, you can turn an ugly situation and make it into a beautiful one. You just
Transmute
have to
it.
use oh, yes, you can. Use those big
Mm.
words. I love them. Transmute it. You transmute that shit. But yeah, true. You can do that. You reverb it, like, and it works though, and it's therapeutic for me.
Mhm,
My
mhm.
artistry is my therapy.
That's that. So one of the things that I've spoken about is the idea of how poetry can be utilized as a tool for healing, right? And
Mm-hmm.
many of us that feel deep, right? We have this divine connection to to source and to all that is, right? We feel things differently. So we have
Mm-hmm.
to get it out of us, right? And like you said, oftentimes it comes from the experiences of our walk, right? Of our
Mm-hmm.
own development, of our connection to who we identify with, right? We say source over here, but we're universal. So,
Mm-hmm.
whoever it is, we welcome. Um, and that translates through our art. And it's like a blueprint or a map to help others through their healing as well. So do you
Mm-hmm.
identify in your own art in that same principle? Maybe you express it a different way, and if so, be free, say it however it resonates with you. But do you feel that that's part of your, I don't know, your calling, your gift, your assignment, to be able to express what you've gone through your art, to be able to be an example or an inspiration to others that may be coming,
Uh,
behind you on that path?
I most definitely do identify with that.
Hmm.
Long story short, I discovered my poetry when I was in the ninth ward at a hospital up here, a local hospital called Strong. I was in the
Mm.
psych ward.
Oh, okay.
Um, I had gotten to the point, I was 19 years old. I've always known about
Mm.
poetry, but I never respected it. I thought it was
Okay.
cliche. I thought it was cheesy stuff you use, like, oh, Shakespeare shit. You go use it to highlight a girl and shit. But
Mm.
then when I had my nervous breakdown, I was working two jobs. I was in college, called myself being in the streets, doing the wrong things as well. And I was trying to work on my weight and quitting smoking at the same time. So I had the patches,
Okay.
taking the pills, smoking the herb, doing all the different things, just a busybody,
Mm.
and everything just imploded. And it was like
Hmm.
all those things in me that were held deep just started to just come out. Issues, things I never
Hmm.
faced, things I brushed under the rug. And they put me in the hospital
Mm.
for 2 weeks.
Mm.
They took my number two, they took my laces and my belt. And they gave me
Hmm.
a dull preschool number two pencil. And they gave me one of
Mm.
those snow notebooks. And my mother said, just write how you feel. It was my mother who gave them to me.
The wait, the composition notebooks? You
Oh,
called it a snow notebook?
listen, snow notebooks.
Composition.
That's what I call them. I call them snow notebooks. That's what I call them. So
That's
basically,
so cute. That's
that's
so
what they
cute.
gave me, though, right?
Right.
And I was in there, and I just wrote, and that's where Aceyon was discovered, and I spoke about my pains and my struggles, and I
Mm,
developed my voice. And had it not been for that, I feel like I would not be here today because there was so many things that I was, I was coming to a fork in the road, and I had 5 different highway exits that I could go to, and it would have caused so many issues if I would have went in either way. But God guided me to the one that I
mm,
needed to go through. And with that helping me, I was able to develop my voice, to pursue my dreams, and also become a captain of a poetry slam team later on in life, to be able
mm.
to inspire. And then with that, through that avenue, I was able to coach teams with Brave New Voices. I was able to interact with artists throughout the country. I'm an international slam poet. You know what I'm saying? People
Congratulations.
thank you, thank you. Like I've gone to
You're
Jamaica to
welcome.
perform for people. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mm,
I've been blessed in many ways through developing my voice, through challenging these issues within me that I refuse to look at, and now I take them on full fledged. So yes, poetry saved my life, and yes, it can definitely help inspire others. And I hope that my struggles and my successes and my failures, which have been public, my successes, which have been public, and my struggles, which have been public, I hope it inspires others to do the same because honestly, you can't tell me shit. I love me. And
I
there
know
was a
that's
point
right.
when I did.
I know that's right.
There was a point when I couldn't. There was a point where I was afraid to love me. I love me. Shit. I'm a sexy fat motherfucker. I love me.
I know that's right.
But it took time to be able to do that, to embrace
Right.
me and love me for all my faults, all my praises. And believe me, it's not cockiness at all. I
Hmm.
try and remain humble as possible, but it is a self love that I had to develop because for
Hmm.
so many years it was shot down. You know what I'm saying? So
Hmm.
I hope it does inspire other people to feel the same way. Don't ever let somebody dim your light. God gave you that star for a reason. Let that shit shine.
Hmm.
Don't let anybody
Hmm.
take it away. So yeah, I hope it
Right.
does
Nobody
inspire.
has the right or the power. No, nobody
Exactly.
can actually take it, but we can give it away or we can forfeit it, right? But nobody can ever
Exactly.
take because what's yours is yours, right?
Right. Most
So
definitely.
much of what you shared, so much just it so much came in. One of the ideas that I want to highlight is a lot of times, when we do this human walk, right? We have these
Mm-hmm.
different experiences that we think in its human form is like a bad thing, right? Like we think it's a bad thing, or it's like a negative thing, or it's embarrassing or shameful, or whatever adjective you want to put on it. But
Mm-hmm.
actually, it's exactly what was supposed to happen to get us to where we're supposed to go. And that's one of the principles that we speak about. So it's beautiful for, in this exchange that we're having to have a tangible example, so it's just not me sharing it, right? Like this is something that we really live when we pursue, like you said, loving yourself, right? I would say when you get to the point where you realize that you've lost contact with yourself, right? You get on this path to where it seems like everything has to fall apart in order for you to
Mm-hmm.
be able to decide what pieces are valuable to be utilized in the reconstruction of where you're going, right? Because everywhere you already been, it done served this purpose, right? It's
Right.
done, it's complete, it can go no further. So it gotta all
Right.
fall apart, and you go through the rubbish and you throw that away, you leave that's where that you pick this up and then you move forward. And then in the moving forward, that's where everything starts to make sense as to why the experiences were the way that they were, why I had to experience what I experienced, so that I can see the value in myself in sovereignty, right? Not what somebody else said, what somebody else think, what my mama said, what my daddy did. It's what I see and what I feel based on the divinity and the connection that I have to source. So that's what was coming in based upon what you said you experienced, right? Like I'm sure at
Most
19 that
definitely.
had to be scary as hell, right? To be in
Yeah,
that position.
especially for someone who was 19 who didn't have a voice. There are a lot of kids out here.
Uh-huh.
A lot of, I mean, case in point, the Kia boys, the whole
Mm-hmm.
situation with cars. There's a lot of young men and young women who are following behind other people instead of being the leaders themselves because they don't know their
Right.
voice. They don't know their value.
Right.
So they're allowing other people to
Mm-hmm.
influence them and putting them in
Mm-hmm.
situations where it's going to ruin their life. Whereas
Mm-hmm.
if they had that voice inside them, that inner strength that says, "Hold up, nah, I ain't doing this shit. No, I'm not getting involved with this. No, we shouldn't be doing
Mm-hmm.
this." It will be a lot less situations, a
Mm-hmm.
lot of scenarios in the world with people if we actually like take hold of our value and we say, "Nah, I'm not doing
Mm-hmm.
that shit," or "No, this isn't right for me," or "I don't need
Right.
to be in that relationship," or "I don't need to be dealing with that man or dealing with that woman," or what have you. A lot of things will be
Mm-hmm.
different. So, with this journey in my life, which I go through, it's funny that you said that about everything falling apart. I feel like
Mm-hmm.
God. I was talking about this with my first love. I feel like God puts us in this situation where every so many years we're hit with a pop quiz, and He wants to
Mm-hmm.
see how we pass, how we deal
Mm-hmm.
with things. And if you pass, then you go on to the next level. In some cases, a lot of people don't pass that pop quiz, and situations happen, prison, death, what have you. God puts
Mm-hmm.
us in these trials and tribulations that He know we can handle, but He wants to see how we do. And
Mm-hmm.
with me, in my situation, I've gone through many times with pop quizzes, and I've hit the wall plenty of times where I'm thinking I'm soaring high and I'm good, and poof, everything fall apart, and I got to get back up and put those pieces back together and restructure something better, trying to move on to the next
Mm-hmm.
level. It's okay with hitting
Mm-hmm.
the wall. It's about you getting your ass up and rebuilding and keep pushing. A lot of people can't. They're afraid to get up and rebuild, and it's okay to let go of old things and move on.
Mm-hmm.
You got to grow.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
So,
And I think another key to that. Oh, go ahead. Are you?
no, I was going to show you something while you were talking. It's I don't have it here with me right now. I'm in my office right now, and I'm looking at I had this book I was going to show you about shadow work.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, that's the journey that what's really helped me to get to that level is shadow work. Um,
Mm-hmm.
you have to look at yourself, man. You have to look at all the shit you've done, everything you went through, and play it all the way through.
Mm-hmm.
Look at all the things you went through, and find out your faults and learn what not to do. You know what I'm saying? It's about really facing you and being honest with yourself and helping and wanting to grow and be better. You know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think another layer to that that would be beneficial is to understand that growth is not linear, right? It's circular, cyclical. It's cyclical, right? So sometimes what
Cyclical.
feels like bumping our yes, the big words, right?
Let me get my
Cyclical.
notepad. Cyclical. I like that too.
Yes. So oftentimes what feels like bumping our head into a wall is really us busting through to the next layer, the next level of our growth, right? And what feels like
Right.
a repeated lesson of I keep going through the same thing is really, again, busting through to the next layer or level of that growth, of that awareness, right? So you take what you learned from the last time and you apply it in this situation, and then you bust through to the next level of growth, just like when the seed busts through the ground, right? You know, first the roots bust out the seed, right? You don't even see the roots, but it is
No.
busting through, and then next thing you know, the sprout comes out, right? But the roots already bust through, so it's like a continual evolution of growth. So everything is happening exactly how it's supposed to. Even when it feels like I'm bumping my head against the wall, as long as I know, right, that I learned from the last time, it's not a bumping, right? It's really just a pushing through, moving that ground, moving the dirt out the way so that you could emerge. Now, for people who may be experiencing the lack of growth or the lack of awareness, right, it may be a bumping of the head, but it's only to redirect you to get to the point where you recognize, oh, that's what I'm supposed to be learning from this situation. Oh, let go of the fear, letting these people go. Oh, okay. Oh, using my voice and listening to the part that say, I don't really want to do that. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then you move forward from there, right? And it's funny that you brought up the Kia Boys, because it's crazy that they nationwide, right? Like that
Right.
whole movement is everywhere. It's where I'm
Right.
at, it's where you at, it's where I'm from. They everywhere. So that type of influence is powerful, right? But it got to be cultivated in a positive way, right? So those are
Mhm.
leaders. Those are leaders, but they're leading people down a path that's not productive.
Right. I tell you what, boy, let me run across a kid, boy. I'm whooping that ass. I'm sorry. You ain't but they I had to switch cars, switch insurance companies because they wouldn't take my car because of the brand of it. I said, this I'm gonna whoop somebody ass, boy. Let me anyway, moving back to what you were saying. You just had me had a thought. Cost me $200 in insurance extra. Anyway, so back to what we said. The idea of what you're saying about
Yes,
bumping your head in the same
mm,
scenario is like the fleas in the jar idea. You put them in the
mm,
jar and they keep hitting their head in the jar, and eventually when you take the lid off,
mm,
they won't jump no higher because they know they're
mm,
programmed to think that. And in many cases,
mm.
in some surrounding areas, we have been programmed to think that you can't go any
Yes.
higher. You know,
Mhm.
you can't go past that. And it takes
Mhm.
just those slim few who actually are willing
Mhm.
to take that chance and go above and beyond just so they
Mhm.
be able to grow. Because you're
Right.
right, you got roots here and then you got the plant growing here. But if the
Mhm.
roots are growing strong and the plant is refusing to accept that photosynthesis, the roots are just
Mhm.
going to be strong. That plant is going to be a dub. Now,
Mhm.
if you're willing to push further, you can succeed. And I
Mhm.
believe that's one of the things what I feel within me is that I'm willing to push further and go
Mhm.
beyond because I'm not
Mhm.
what you normally would see or what you I'm not the leading man type, but I will be. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying?
Mhm.
I am
Mhm.
not exactly the quote unquote poet type, but I am. It's just automatically what they
Mhm.
have programmed in their mind, what they see. And it's like, no, that's what you see, but this is
Mhm.
what I see. I don't have tunnel vision. I see everything, you know? And I feel like as
Mhm.
a people, and I mean this in general, as a people,
Right.
we need to see beyond the tunnel vision. We need to see
Right.
everything. We need to
Right.
see it all because we are involved in it all without knowing. The world wouldn't be
Right.
able to revolve around without us. You feel me?
Right. I think that's why visionaries are so important, right? I think about and I'm not well versed studied on this. However, I think about the Renaissance period,
You could have
right?
fooled me.
And I said it again.
You could have fooled me.
Well, I'm speaking about on this particular topic with the Renaissance period. Thank you.
I'm trying to say, okay.
With the Renaissance period, the influence that art had, right? And how generations, here we are generations later, and still teaching and reading and learning about these artists from so many hundreds of years ago, right? So when I think about where we are currently in alignment with what you shared about the people and the culture and being able to see, right? That's why it's so important that the visionaries respond to what speaks to them, right? So whatever seed has been planted in you and me and anybody else that's listening, it's important to respond to that seed, because whatever's going to grow is going to be an example to speak to, to other people to respond to the seed that's in them too. But if you don't respond to the seed in you, and I don't respond to the seed in me, then who's gonna be the example? Because all the examples before they did, right? Like they gone.
Exactly.
So it's the emergence of the new visionaries, right? The new examples that's going to be the catalyst for the new earth, the new future that we are bringing in, right? That we all see is desperately needed, but everybody doesn't have the voice, everybody doesn't have the courage, everybody doesn't have the vision to be the leaders, the at the forefront, right?
Right.
But we
I'm
do,
a
right?
I'm a part of this poetry collective, which is more than just poetry. It's called the Honey Dripper Collective,
Mm-hmm.
and it's loaded with artists who are multifaceted like myself. It's a national, international collective. If you ever
Mm-hmm.
see something with a hive, a beehive with a honey dripper logo,
Okay.
that's my squad. I don't want to get it. Let me see. Hold on 1 second.
Okay.
Sorry, just got to show you this real quick.
Okay.
You see this logo? It's a honey dripper. It's a honeycomb, but it has an H
Okay.
on it.
Okay.
That's my collective I'm a part of, and it's loaded with those people, those visionaries, those
Okay.
different type of artists, painters, rappers, writers. Last night I was blessed with the opportunity to co-direct and co-write an audio story that was put out on a streaming site Clubhouse,
Yes.
where we
Yes.
had all the artists that
Congratulations.
come together. Thank you, and it was different. It was sort of like a 1940s style play, but it was all via audio.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I was, I've got my poets together in the Honey Drippers, and we put it out there. So there are people out there, and it's not,
Okay.
yes, you go ahead.
So
Sorry.
on that note, no, you're fine. In respect to the time. So on that note, will you share with everyone who may be listening that's interested, multi-talented, multifaceted, where to get in contact, where to find out more about the Honey Drippers, and then share where people can find you to support you and your art, to learn more about what you're putting out into the world.
Okay. You can reach out to the Honey Dripper Collective via Clubhouse. You can also reach out through me, Aceyon Owens, Aceyon Owens on Facebook, Aceyon on Instagram, TikTok. It's Aceyon Owens. I don't promote the other ones. And you can con you can contact my email aceonowens@gmail.com, but I would prefer you hit me up on the streaming services, on the social media platforms, and we can always build. The Honey Dripper Collective is, I'm a proud member of that. I'm also involved with many other things within the city, within the community of artistry, which is international. It's just, we
Mhm.
keep pushing, let's keep pushing for it. And
Okay.
we don't have time for the poem. I don't know, do we?
No, we do.
We-
We're gonna go a
Oh,
little over time. I'm about to share that next with the collective.
oh,
So
you gonna be
normally,
special for
yeah,
me? How?
yeah. So normally we're at the point where I will share a poetic expression to conclude today's transmission. However, since we have a guest, we're gonna ask him to bless us with a poetic expression before we close out today's transmission. And it is my will that you received what was divinely placed here for you from source, and that you like, share, comment, leave your feedback, so that we know how it resonated with you today. So on that note, you have our attention, Aceyon.
Awesome. Thank you for having me again. So there was this video of Barack Obama walking through the audience to Jimmy Carter's funeral. And as he was walking, he had this Obama's cool. He's smooth. And somebody dubbed under him the song by Rich Homie Quan, I'll be feeling like the man when I walk through. And then someone else commented on it and said, Maya Angelou's words, I come as one, but I stand as 10,000. And that poem, that whole line in the scenario just had me think of me as a person, as a man. So I wanted to write this real quick. So it's Maya's words mixed with Obama's walk, socially influenced, a reminder of my greatness. I come as one, but I stand as 10,000. Maya Angelou said that. And how convenient it be for a queen like she to give a king like me jewels to never forget my savagery. That alone speaks volumes when you think of it. Mother Angelou being a woman, a descendant of Eve, who came from Adam's rib, an ancestor of me, and we create a unity of God living in one image. And Eve having bitten the forbidden fruit, was able to know the difference between good and evil before Adam, so she hipped him the game. And now it feels like woman just did it again with hopes of repentance, of making sure that this man remembers his roots and knows that worth. Or me knowing my worth, that's more than just 3/5 of a man. So she was reminding me, don't be a partial thinker when it comes to the value of my life. Or how about the value of my life equates it to nothing if woman wasn't there to provide the unknown X to the question of why I was created under the cherry moon and crowned prince of a purple dynasty. Mindlessly taken for granted, she had to remind me that every drop of blood that pumps throughout my body carries the geological traits of greatness. So stop wasting it, spilling it aimlessly in the streets. Remember the plasma that matched yours once dripped from the head of a man during his crucifixion while he was pinned to the wooden cross. And it was the woods they saw as tens of thousands died trying to escape the terrors of slavery with bravery to make sure the days would see my black ass stand here today free. That's what I saw buried deep in the African soil of Maya Angelou's quote. I come as one, but I stand as 10,000. Respect the crown, for these thorns are priceless. Poem.
Thank you.
Appreciate
That was a powerful conclusion to our
Thank you.
episode today.
Never
Thank you
forget your
for
worth.
being our guest today.
Thank you for having me.
Yes,
Aceyon
absolutely.
Owens. Hit me up, Aceyon Owens, on Facebook, Aceyon Owens, Instagram, TikTok, all those good things. And thank you for having me, Queen Essence.
Thank you again. Until the next time.